go. Hey all, welcome to another episode of the Uru Labs podcast from Bengaluru. Ever complain how bad our cities are, how bad your commute is? You will get to hear from people who are working to solve these problems in their own way. This is your weekly soapbox for urban sustainability. So do not forget to like, subscribe, and share these videos. I am Satya Sankaran with Neerav Kodolikar. And today on the show, we'll be speaking with Sanjeev Diamanavar. From lakes to transport, he has been giving his time away from his busy job to help improve the civic outcomes in Bengaluru. I have been fortunate enough to work with him and others since 2010 as a part of the Praja.in Namma Railu campaign to introduce Suburban Rail in Bengaluru. He was also awarded the Namma Bengaluru Citizen of the Year for his persistence in this campaign. Welcome to the podcast, Sanjeev. Nice to have you here. The question we are asking today, has the suburban rail been sidelined in many cities across India and especially in Bengaluru?
Yeah, when it comes to Bangalore, yes, suburban rail has been sidelined. There are various reasons for that. One is the metro, which has been given a very high priority and campaign by the policymakers as well as politicians, because it gets them a very attractive and as if it's like a new thing which has been brought to Bangalore and which will solve all the problems of Bangalore transport solutions. Okay, so but if you once like other day also we were interacting with some of the experts who are on the public domain, mass public transport. So it comes out clearly that we need a multimodal transport, especially the suburban rail is one of the multimodal transport, whereas metro is also mass public transport, but it caters to very small percentage of requirement, maybe around 10 to 15% you can save for the city like Bangalore. So the suburban has to be given equal importance along with the BRTS and metro and last mile connectivity. So this cannot be neglected. No more. If city has to sustain and grow and provide a mass public transport.
So Sanjeev, just take back to the basics. I'd just like to ask you to elaborate on the difference between what a metro is and what the suburban rail is. Because in Bangalore, every time I talk about suburban rail, people associate it being the same thing as the metro system. So what is the difference between the two?
Yeah, the difference between the suburban rail and metro, both are mass public transport which run on the tracks, the railway tracks. Okay, so metro is being planned and aligned in such a way that it gives the shortest distance between the 2 points within the city metropolitan limits maximum. It should not go more than 60-70 kilometers. Okay, within the end to end. So, and they can build it, they can align such a way that they can build across the city in a straight line short distance without any reference. But they can even connect mass public centers like big shopping malls or even per se like office spaces and other things. So it has got its own clear and it has got a more number of stoppages. Like every even like 750 meters to 1.5 kilometers, you can have a metro stations where the more accessibility is there within the dense population. Okay, if you look at suburban rail, it is generally built along the existing railway tracks. To some extent, okay, some alignments may be changed, and the number of stations are spaced such a way that it will go to in like 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers. The spacing is there, and if you come to the speed, the suburban rail can run at 130 to 150 kilometers per hour. Whereas metro will have a maximum speed of 80 to 90 kilometers, and suburban rail will connect with city center as well as suburbs and even outside city also. So it can go 100 kilometers also for that matter. So that distance, whatever distance is there, it can be covered in 1 hour is a suburban rail. Same thing metro also, you can cover it, you can travel in 1 hour, but distance is like a 30-40 kilometers. So Both if you see per se is a 1 hour journey, but one is having 100 kilometers journey, other one is a 30 kilometers, 30 to 40 kilometer within the city. The suburban rail is within the city as well as outside city, and which carries the capacity of carrying of suburban rail is very high, and it doesn't gets limited by the station platform. Like example, in Bangalore Metro, you have only 6 coaches. You can't run more than 6 coaches. Whereas suburban rail, you can go up to 15 coaches. Because everything, most of it are on the ground only. So you can easily, and it gets integrated with the existing railway stations.
Got it. So you've given us a good definition of what the suburban rail is, but according to you, I mean, other than physical factors such as the carrying capacity, according to you, what makes a suburban rail system so important to a city or like a satellite town?
Yeah. So there are few things which you can say. The suburban rail will use existing infrastructure for railway, as well as wherever required some upgradation like signaling, level crossing eliminations, strengthening of tracks, additional platforms. Okay, and more or less the rakes which are running, which have been deployed like coaches by the railway, with like memo, EMU, and other things. Same thing with a little bit modification can be put into this. The second thing is the building of a suburban rail, the infrastructure. It doesn't take much time because you are more than 50 to 60% will be using existing infrastructure. The land acquiring will not be much issue. The integration with the existing railway stations also is easy. And wherever the metro is coming across, example like in Bangalore, we have a metro is coming at Bayapanalli, KR maybe at Yeshwantpur, Bangalore city. Only those places the close integration is required. Otherwise, suburban rail runs on it as per the existing railway tracks, and it goes to up to the like example in Bangalore. If you take Bangarpet, Chikballapur, Tumkur, so those are the suburbs towns like they get connected to the Bangalore. Whereas if a metro you want to construct, for say consider tomorrow you want to extend it to metro for some reason, so it may take another 15 to 20 years because the investment is required very high. The time to build a metro is very high. Okay, and utilization also you need that many people to use it. Otherwise, it gets redundant. Whereas in suburban rail, the advantage is it uses the existing infrastructure. So the intercity trains, goods train, as well as suburban rail will be using similar infrastructure. So tomorrow, like you can decide on the frequency of the suburban rail depending on the capacity availability. So if you have very good signaling systems and some dedicated tracks, you can run a suburban rail at a frequency of 5 minutes. Otherwise, 15 minutes frequency is very good for suburban rail. Whereas in metro, its frequency goes up to 90 seconds, 3 minutes, because it is running in a very dense population within the city limits.
Got it. So you've given us what the importance of the suburban rail is. But as someone who's been in Bangalore for a few years, I haven't seen what a full-scale suburban rail system in Bangalore looks like. So could you give me a few examples from maybe other cities as to what a suburban rail system actually looks like at a larger scale?
In Bangalore, even though we have more than 400 kilometer railway track around, and more than 60 stations which are built by Indian Railway and are existing, very minimum service are available. Example on Bangalore Bangarpet, Bangalore Tumkur, Bangalore Bidadi or Ramanagara. These sections, even the Hosur has got very few. So especially Bangalore Bangarpet has got a very good some decent frequency, I can say. So if you see where are the suburban rails in India, in which cities are benefited and how they are solved there or able to sustain that. The best example is the Mumbai, what you call local trains, the fast and slow local trains, which the people are happy to live in the suburbs, come to CBD area, work between 9 to 5 or 9 to 7, then go back. So predominantly the larger population of Bombay, take it New Bombay and suburbs, they are more depend on suburban rail to travel longer distance like 40 to 50 kilometers. Later, the last mile connectivity, you have very good taxis and autos. So Mumbai has developed a very good suburban network with deploying a modern technology in terms of signaling, safety, rakes. Even they got AC rakes which are equivalent to metro rakes. So next one we have is in Chennai and Hyderabad. Chennai is doing a decent this thing, which is this thing. Hyderabad still struggling, which is called MMTS, the Suburban Rail, because investments are not gone into that to improve the services. But if you see the recent developments, when we are following up for Bangalore Suburban Rail with the state government and central government, on the same line, the National Capital Region, what we call NCR. So there, the central government has pushed the case for regional rail transport system (RRTS), which will connect from Meerut to Delhi and Faridabad and other places. Priority sector of Meerut to Delhi has been some, I think, 20-25 kilometers has been already commissioned, and it's going to be service may be opened in a few weeks, 1 or 2 weeks. So that is also similar to suburban rail, but it is a completely built on slightly elevated tracks and integrated with existing metro and existing railway stations. So that runs at 180 kilometer speed, and which has got a higher seating capacity. So on the same line, the Bangalore Suburban Rail also was already been planned and being executed now. So still long way to go for Bangalore to get a full-fledged suburban rail, where the four corridors have been identified and works have started on one corridor and other corridors will start. So if you see, Bangalore is the best, sorry, Mumbai is the best example for suburban rail. Chennai is doing well, and Pune has got a unofficial like a suburban rail where they got a very good number of EMU rakes between Lonavala and Pune. They run that. Similarly, Lucknow and Kanpur has got services. Chennai, Kolkata has got services which they are even connecting to airport also. So for that now, Bangalore is ready for it. It's only matter of time when you will get it.
Let's talk about how this whole thing started, because I remember when almost 13 years ago when we looked at train systems, the new metro systems were being proposed. The CTTP, I think, was being done. It was sometime in 2009,
Yes.
2010 time frame
By
when
was doing that.
I think that then it was called BMLTA then. I
BMLT,
think,
correct.
and it was just recently formed in 2009, and then they had done the CTTP, and we got shown a bunch of lines. I think the infrastructure development department then was in charge
IDD.
also, so BMLT was just doing this. But we saw that if you remember, we that was the first time I think we saw that the railway network was something that was not being utilized that much, right? But what inspired you to get to be a part of this campaign that we ran as Praja to then get the suburban rail as a system to Bengaluru? What inspired you to do that?
Yes. So if as you given a reference like CTTP, so when like Praja.in, like where the campaign started, these all like from the like-minded people who are interested to do something for the city to make a difference to the city and see how we can make our living as well as public transport we can improve it. Maybe the bus day or a suburban rail or a cycle day from the Praja which were started campaign. So one of the thing was suburban rail where for me it was because I lived in Mumbai for nearly 2 years, where I used it very extensively from Navi Mumbai to Mumbai. I'm talking about in 96, 98, where even the stations were very, very basic. They were not even built full-fledged, but they were serving the requirement. The last mile connectivity was given by the bus. So when I moved to, and after that I seen in Pune also. Then when I was moved to Bangalore, and the metro was given a very hype that it was going to solve the problem. Then looking at the metro map and then suburban, which like almost 300 kilometers that time was existing. Then when you came across with the Praja and then looked at CTDP, then it struck saying that something is going on wrong in Bangalore, which as a citizens who can do, who can make a difference, who can bring it back, the mass public transport, multimodal mass public transport. So the one of the things which has given inspiration is the CTTP, which is falsely or wrongly done for suburban rail. Example, they wanted a suburban rail between KR Puram to Yalanka, which is around 12 kilometers. For what reason they had drawn in their report, I don't know. What was like, so they also know. Like between Yeshwantpur to Chikbanawara, they want to run a suburban rail. So it was for namesake only it was done. So it gave a very this thing. Yes, this is a challenge where opportunities exist. The existing railway tracks can be used, and why can't when Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, and other cities are having, and why Bangalore should suffer? So that gave a big motivation. Yes, as a group, Praja.in, who can do, and it's only time and how much you pursue it. So lot of expertise available within this group. Like Satya Shankaran had a complete urban transport, like bus day, cycle day, and other things. He had gone into depth. He was knowing a lot of topography. I was new to Bangalore. Then Syed was born and brought up in Bangalore, who was having experience in US cities. Navin, who was a merchant navy captain. So all this brought in, and as we started deliberating and discussing, brainstorming, and that is the time when we took a ride to from Yeshwanthpur to Vasur, which you call as on the ground, getting a feedback. So those and looking at a struggle from the people. Even we went to Tumkur, Satya and myself. We went to Bidadi, Ramnagara, Chikbalapur. So looking at those struggles by the people, and the tracks are lying vacant for various technical reasons. These things gave us a very big motivation. Yes, here we can do it, and we can pursue the government, both state and central, and work with the elected representatives to ensure that we get this project approved at the highest level, and have a dedicated services infrastructure built to run the suburban rail service. That was a major motivation factor to drive the whole project.
I still remember so for the others who have not known about Praja.in, it was an online platform in those days. It was a pre-Facebook days, just started by Pranav and a few other guys, Shastri and a few others. So they had put up a blogging site, and we used to complain about things. And suddenly we decided, why not do something about it? We started reaching out to people, and that's when the CTTP was shown to us and said,
Yes.
suburban rail is a possibility. And I still remember us going around, and me and I think Pranav and a few others were standing on that railway line near Bayapnalli where it crosses the old Madras road, and there were tracks on the road, and we were saying,
Yes.
look at these, there are already tracks available in all these places and we are not using it. And I don't know why we are trying to solve a problem with fancy things when we have this available. That ability to frugally use what we had was important. And I remember meeting Sanjeev for the first time in Freedom Park.
Yes.
You'd come with a lot of notes with you,
Correct.
and we were just kind of trying to say, what do we do about this? And we just made an open call for everybody to come and meet somewhere. And in Freedom Park, Sanjeev showed up with a stack of notes saying, this is why suburban rail is possible and doable right now. That I remember that. And after that, we went on the ride and other things. But what were you feeling when you came with that stack? You were very motivated. You made all of us listen to this and say, it's doable. What did you have in that stack, and what were you explaining that day?
Yeah, basically because I lived in Mumbai for 2 years. Then after that I was in Pune, and in my childhood I used as public transport like buses, which were very on time and all. So looking at back at Mumbai and Pune, because then when I saw the blogs, the discussions in Praja and this thing, and whatever my knowledge available and the metro, then I felt yes, there need to be here the like-minded people who are available like Satya, Syed, and Pranav, Naveen, and Ravi. Okay, so if just matter of time we link all the things, maybe the infrastructure, railway infrastructure, how they can be integrated, how can you compare the good thing of Mumbai suburban rail like Navi Mumbai. So I tried initially the collecting as much as information, and that's where we met in the Freedom Park. Like thanks to Praja for organizing and taking it forward. So then it opened up our mind for a larger picture actually when we had a brainstorming in the Freedom Park with we each. I had some information, Satya had some information. So when you started pulling in, and the Naveen had some information, so it started opening up. Yes, here is a case where you can pursue as a citizens and see that it's a doable. It's not something out of our reach. It's a, and initially we were in a dark. How will progress in getting this approval? we were trying to hit many directions. Every time we used to go and like hit the wall. Like we don't know where to go further. So again we'll start the new thing. It happened. Like example, we went on a train ride. We went to some of the local politicians. The best example is I can remember we had a meeting parallelly on the same day where some of us were there at the that time IDD Madhu was I'm correct now, Madhu was the in charge. So then there was a challenge was given by IDD that yes, why don't you bring a report and see what's your understanding about suburban rail? Because we are trying to tell CTDP is not protected properly suburban rail. So then, thanks to SISTOP IASC Professor Sitaram, who had supported in a large way by from the academics and given a lot of directions. So that helped us to bring a call to action report in I think 2010. I think Satya. So
In 3 months flat, because I still remember when you and I and everybody were in Madhu's camp. I think you were at Anant Kumar and we were at Madhu's thing. He
yes,
saw the letter we gave and he said, "Why don't you? It might technically be feasible or not. We don't know. Why don't you come back with a report in 3 months flat?" Sanjeev, myself, Syed, and Naveen got on to making a report, which till today has even been, I think, if you remember right, it was pasted, our route maps and everything is pasted in the rights report also. But in 3 months flat, we went right back to him and gave the report, and I could take a look at, he took the report, and it was nicely done as well, right? So Sanjeev and
yeah,
me were in
professionally
Bangalore
done.
coordinating. Sanjeev is the powerhouse of technical information. Yeah, and Syed was doing all of the coordination from there, and Naveen was on a ship when we wrote that report, and he literally did the map on a ship. He didn't even have connections. I don't know how, what he had to go to ports. In different ports he used to sit down and log in, and during the time he was on the ship he used to be able to do all of these things. The report came out in 3 months flat, and when we gave it back he was in disbelief. He didn't think a bunch of citizens come back with a technical report, and which justifies everything technically. I still remember Sanjeev giving out a lot of data on that as to see why it is possible to do, because till now it was like maybe it's not possible to do, right?
Yeah, even to the extent we went and identified which are the like single tracks, which are having the crossing issues, how many level crossings, and signaling issues.
Yeah.
What are the like minimum investments can go into that, and start in a phases, phase one, phase two, phase three. Like they can do it. All those things we brought into that actually.
But the real story started after that, Sanjeev, which is the amount of running around you had to do for making sure that this was, because I think at that time only the metro was also suddenly being considered after 30 years of keeping quiet and we going and stirring this pot. I think suddenly people started realizing, oh, you know what, let's build a metro now, right? And that's when the real story of all of the campaign started, in which Sanjeev was like, I think you must have met
Yeah,
at least, I don't know, how many people did you meet, Sanjeev, to get this going?
yeah, Satya. Yeah, what you brought out our old memories on how we struggled and started our campaign. So one of the challenge was started was the when you submitted our report to IDD and other people. So there was a sarcastic remarks. Yes, there are so many reports are submitted. What to do? This is just okay. You can keep it on the shelf. Like it's good for keeping in the shelf. So it threw more challenges and it might have hurt our egos in the process as a volunteers we were doing it. So then it took off. We took it as a challenge. As till we get this approval and put it on the ground, so work starting, we will not leave it because Bangalore needs this one. We cannot live without the suburban rail. We need a metro as well as BRTS, BMTS, but suburban rail is also equally important. So that's where our journey started. We started exploring how to build a mass awareness campaign. One of the things was started was with Hasiru Usiru. We had a campaign on public discussions. Then we had a regular meetings with all the government officials. Both the challenge was this project has to run from both state government and central government. It's not only one government agency, and both the government, state and central, are guided by the elected representative. One side is MLAs, other side is MPs and railway ministers. So it was more challenging for us, and it's spread over almost 7 districts in Bangalore, like Tumkur, Ramnagara, Bangalore Rural, Bangalore City, Chikballapur, Kolar, then Tamil Nadu, Hosur. So almost like every month we used to run a campaign on a different note. Like once we went to Tumkur to interact with the people there, then we went to Ramanagara, then Hosur. Several times we had a on a weekend train journeys to and bring in more people to see that, explore that. Then we had a discussion in Whitefield, Bayapnalli, and many more places. And even Satya also, you remember Satya? That time we had this discussion even JP Nagar to educate more and more people. This thing. Then
Hmm.
over the period, what happened? Then we started realizing, yes, this proposal need to go from state government to the railway board, and railway minister has to approve, and this requires a cabinet approval because the capital budget required is more than like 3,000, 4,000 crore. So then we started signature campaigns, online campaigns, petitions, many things we did. Then wherever opportunity came in, we started using. Like one of the opportunity came is Rajiv Gowda, who was supporting for public transport, Suburban Rail. So through him, we organized a campaign at the public discussion for elected representative in Vidhan
Yes.
Sabha. At the same time, we had a Mallikarjun Kharge as a railway minister. We had a detailed discussion with him. Then followed by Sadan Gowda was a railway, and like we approached Anand Kumar, Sadan Gowda that time, then PC Mohan, to ensure that it become a their election agenda point. When finally we got that into the
Hmm.
all the main parties, either Congress, JDS or BJP, that for Bangalore they are going to implement a suburban rail, which was earlier it was not there. Same thing we went to in Tumkur, Basuraj, Tumkur MP we met. There are so many MLAs we met, and academics who took a lot of help. The so many other organizations, like one of the bigger thing came is when I was struggling, the elevated flyover from Chalukya Circle to Hebbal. Beda campaign was going on, so we brought in, yes, Beko campaign is suburban rail, and then thanks to various citizen groups, including CFB and other things, Chukubuko Relu Beko campaign was run from Cantonment to Whitefield. It was a big success, which has opened up, which has literally forced the state government and central government, yes, we can't keep neglecting Bangalore for suburban rail. There's people who are going to vote for us, and they will take a decisive decision if you don't support that. That's where it came. Interim solution of I think around 440 crores was approved by the state and railways, where the state government will fund it everything for the rakes as well as maintenance and other things. That's where the first leg of suburban rail started. Then simultaneously the K ride, which took its own sweet time to, not K ride, it is a rights, rights which took its own sweet time to prepare the reports. And in fact, they took a lot of input from Praja, some of us, and incorporated into that. But whenever the report was submitted to state government, again state government was in a denial mode to not to pursue this project. So kept on delaying. Is Anand Kumar who took a challenge. Yes, we will get this one. He that time he got a support from Piyush Goyal, railway minister. So he got the everything survey, redone everything on the drone, because land was the issue in some places. The DPR was prepared by the railways itself, and then the K ride came into existence after a lot of again delays and push and pulls, and state government's commitments and central government commitments. So finally in 2019-20, Karnataka railway infrastructure was there, but they curved out of the K ride from that exclusively for the Bangalore suburban rail, and now and with 2021, they gave approval central government and started the work, but still that state government has that in the back of mind that why should you push a suburban rail, either from the elected representatives or from the politicians or officials. There's some still that reluctance is there. Bangalore should not should get only metro, not the suburban rail. But
Yeah.
however, now things are in line, and tenders have been called. Work has
I
started.
want
I
to
don't think we can go back on this.
I want to come back because that's the entire summary of the story of 10 years that you run through. I want to get back to the people who supported, yes, Rajiv Gowda's initial support. Professor Sitaram of CSTUP in IISc was the first person who came in and said, I believe you guys are on the right track. Technically, it's feasible. I have all this. You have all my support. He wrote the foreword for the report. And he said, I stand by this thing. This is the right way you get given. And he even stood
Yes.
by the data that we collected at the level that we had done as individual citizens. The first time we were able to write a partly technical report. It did not include surveys, but it included enough knowledge available in the domain with Sanjeev. He spoke to many people. He himself had a lot of data with Naveen's data. We actually put data in the report. It's still available on the internet. And we collected technical report, which even a institution like System from IISc stood by, right? That was the first support we received. Then, of course, the convenings. Right, we had convenings in Vidhan Sauda, which was organized by Rajiv Gowda, Anand Kumar. He took it upon himself, and Sanjeev had to meet him many times before he really got that thing going. And then later on, also many ministers, we had railway ministers from our state, and we had problems getting that approved because of various reasons we can go into. Mm, But then we had the support of, then in the end, PC Mohan stood up and he built literally a halt station, Hoodie halt station with his own money, because there were a lot of people who were getting off there. So there were many inputs from many different people. Because the first advice we got, if you remember, Sanjeev, when we started this whole thing was, don't ask for big things, ask for very small things, ask for a single train.
Yes. So if you see that one of the thing was the first station was RPC level, what you call Vijayanagar Halt Station. Second one was the Hoodie Halt Station. Now recently, the 2 years back, we got KL Halt Station, and one more halt station has come in near Hosur also. So if you see, there are 4 halt stations which have been built in Bangalore in the last 10 years, which is no way is a small thing. It's a very big thing to get us within city limit for 4 more halt stations. And most of it now tracks in Bangalore around are getting already doubled electrified and got a very good automatic signaling, and except level crossing eliminations, more or less we got a very good infrastructure. Even the terminal capacity, which Satya can recall, every time we go back to railway official, they say yes, Bangalore city is choked. I don't have any platforms to run a train. They'll say platforms are not available. When the platforms are available, they'll say tracks are not available. When the tracks are available, they'll say rakes are not available. So it was like a chicken and egg storage type. They are trying to keep going around us. But now, looking back at 10 to 12 years, we got all the required infrastructure, and there is no excuse by the railways now to run good suburban rail service in Bangalore on existing infrastructure. Whereas K-Ride will build an exclusive infrastructure, maybe it may take another 3 to 5 years to get those. So we have gone through a long process. Now Cantonment is coming up a big terminal, which is going to add bigger capacity for suburban rail. So if you see, starting from Sistu Sitaraman, Rajiv Gowda, then Citizen for Bangalore, then Tumkur MP, some of the MLAs, and a lot of organizations like Vinay Srinivas from Asiru, then the ITBT, there was some organization which helped us in campaign, and I can recall even Sudarshan Mantri who had done a lot of campaign for us. So it is many people who joined in between and pushed the thing. Yes, we were able to sustain the campaign over the more than a decade, which is not so easy to do it.
Yeah, and I still remember the turning point of this campaign. While we were going in, we gathered, I think, many crowds in. We went into, like you said, in JP Nagar, we had a big crowd gathered in.
Yes.
We went to Tumkur and gathered a crowd and spoke to people. We spoke in Whitefield, but the turning point was the Citizens for Bengaluru campaign around Steel Flyover Beda, right? A lot of people, it was a huge movement, and we were saying we don't want steel flyovers, we want sustainable mobility. And people were accusing them of saying, I think, you only campaign for what you don't want,
Yes.
right? It's the beta means don't want. Why? What have you ever asked for? What do you actually want, right? And they picked on the suburban rail and said, look, this low hanging fruit, the suburban rail campaign for the past 6 7 years, these guys have been fighting. What are you doing? Why aren't you doing that? That question was posed effectively by a large group of people who were fighting for a sustainable transport in the city. And I think that tweak, the Chukubuku campaign, which was very nicely coined by Srinivas and Tara and the rest of the team, that I think changed the direction we took off. The support that we got from more people, which they could muster. We
Yes.
could do some of the things we did with technically getting it all sorted out, but the people connect started coming in with Vinay and with CFP and all these people, right?
Even the, for that matter, like we had a Whitefield Rising also, which like they brought their lot of political through Arvind
Mm.
Lingawade and other things, and we were not able to progress with even R.V. Deshpande and other things like Anu and all. So the major turning point was this Shukubeko Relu campaign, basically.
Sanjeev, where we are now is after all the struggles of past 10 to 12 years, I think K-Ride has been an excellent progress now. The special purpose vehicle has been set up. And I think after a long struggle with a lot of movements and citizens, this commuter rail story, suburban rail story has been yet to be told. At least we got this special purpose vehicle going. It is there now, and it is going to do, like you said, 2 to 5 years. There is going to be a long term horizon where these things can happen. Concluding thoughts on, do you think K-Ride can successfully pull this off?
Yeah.
Uh,
So if
what do you
we
see
get
as the future of suburban rail going forward? What are your timelines?
Yeah, Bangalore is going to get suburban rail because now central government has approved work, project execution has started. So it's only the matter of time, matter of this thing, how the state government gives a complete support for the K ride. Because central government is giving a full support. It is basically the state administration as well as politicians. They need to pull and ensure that the K ride executes that project in a time bound and without any hurdles. This is where the state government role is very much important. But now you cannot look back and say that suburban is required or not. It is going to happen. It's only a matter of time. Maybe how many more months it may get delayed. That's the only thing I can tell. And all citizens need to keep on asking, demanding. Yes, open up one corridor and let's everyone citizens start using it. That's what I can tell. And it will happen. Maybe in another 3 to 4 years, we should get the suburban rail uh, up and running.
I think with those thoughts, let's leave the viewers with some things, which is I have made this whole thing into some kind of a book which I need to finish up. So if you want to get more details on what this campaign is, it's a very interesting campaign. Lots of things have happened. Uh, but if you want to read that in detail, we can put that out. You can once the book is out there, you can read all of these juicy details in a nice way. But we also want you to join the dialogue. We want to hear from you in the comments. What do you think of this episode? And how you think commuter rail and suburban rail will benefit more and more cities going forward, and why they need to be prioritized as one of the modes that need to go about. And subscribe, click the bell icon so you get the reminder. And thank you, Sanjeev, for being on this show and sharing all your thoughts with us.
Hope in the next 3 4 years we both of us will go and ride on a suburban rail.
See you all next week.